Hello. In this video, I'm going to cover the Expiring Supports tab, which is new with the date range specific support system that we built here at the end of the year. So when you open RMS for the first time, it's going to check a date range which you can set, and it will see if there's any support records that are expiring within that range. So right now you can see that this long explanation, I won't read it, but it says here that it's checking all the supports that are ending within 30 days. So if you go to your user settings, you can change that to whatever day that you want. This view is a little bit different for me than for you, but the support notification is, you can change that. So if you actually want to start getting a head start working on these supports, you can change that to 50 days or 60 or whatever you want to do. But if you're done working with those supports, you're at the end of the year, that's generally the idea, is that you could change that. 30 is just a month. We just thought that that would be a good milestone to start working on. So I'll let you read this on your own time, but I'm going to kind of explain it here anyway. But the essence of this is that it shows you all of the different supports that are going to expire. And you can click through these and you can choose to do one of two things. Basically, you can extend the support out to the next year. So we've populated this new end date field with the end of next year. And all you really need to do, if you don't see that contract or that support contract changing, close this. If this labor cost is going to stay the same for planting for Sonora, California reforestation, nothing's going to change. Just go ahead and click this button right here, save, and that will save the current record with new expiration date. So that just means that instead of expiring at the end of this month, at the end of this year, it's going to expire at the end of next year. Now, why do you need to do any of this? Well, these supports will only show up on the iPad and on the desktop. So if you're adding a new activity and you need to use this contractor, they have to be active. It has to be within a range that you're actually doing that activity date. So if you do nothing and then January 1st comes around and you go to your iPad and you add a new activity, this contractor is not going to be available for you for planting. You need to push that out so it's available for the next year. Okay, the second option you have is if this contract is different, the labor cost has changed, or you anticipate that it will change, which I will probably encourage making new contracts if you think that the price will change at all, then go ahead and make a new contract. And to do that, you would click on this button here, create new post expiration support for current records. So if I press that button, it's going to open up a new tab with that support contract laid out. So we're working with this here Pacific in-house. It's for planting in Sonora, planting for tractor. We have it at 25 cents. Now, hopefully you would just know that it's going to be 30 cents next year, and we automatically populate a new end date in here, so we push it to the end of the year. You can set that to any time that you want, but you would just put in that new price and click the save button here. And that's basically it. So then you would be done with that record. Now, the nuance is if you don't know the cost, but you anticipate that the cost will change, go ahead and put a cost in here anyway, because as you work through the year, you can use this kind of made up cost, and at the end of the year or whenever you find out what the real cost is, you can just come into your supports and you would just navigate through contractors, Sierra Pacific in-house, and you would get back to this contract and say we had set it at 30 cents and it actually ended up being 29 cents, then you can just change this to 29. Oh, that's $29. Um, to 29 cents, and you would click save. So most likely what that would look like is one of these contracts. Let's check here. Okay, so this is a contract that actually has activities tied to it. So these are all activities tied. The last example I showed you doesn't have any activities because it was a new contract. This one has quite a few activities tied to it. So the same concept here would be if I made a mistake and this was actually $49, I would change this to 49, and then I would select all because I want this new price to apply to all of these, and then I would hit save. And that will actually retroactively go through all of these activities and change that price. So that's the power of working with these date ranges and working with a proper database is I think, some of us has gone back and repaired data before, but you know, it can save you time in the long run to set these up correctly. So I'm not going to save that. Okay, so it's basically the same concept for contractor costs, seedling costs, chemical costs. They're all based on the same kind of contract system, date, time. Again, if you're not going to change it, you just save. If you're going to make a new contract, create a new expiration. And if you're never going to use that again, and for some reason that contractor or that chemical, any of these supports is just done and you don't need to see it in your list anymore, you can hit expire selected support. So if you hit that, it will just be removed from this list. The end date will be today's date, and it won't show up on your iPad anymore. So that's kind of a quick overview to try to understand how this works, but it really is meant to guide you through the end of the year. Now, the caveat there is that the support system works per district. So you will see in this list supports that you may not actually use. I think certain folks work with contractors that others don't, perhaps different chemicals that you don't use. So generally, I would say go ahead and solve the issue with any of the supports that affect you, either extending those out or making new supports for them. And then when you're done with that and you feel like you've gotten all your support set up for the next year, just go back to your user and you could change this to like 1 day. If you change that to 1 day, that will just make it so this window doesn't pop up on you in the future. So eventually they will all get taken care of, hopefully. At the very least, if they're not going to be used, you just hit expiring selected support. And once these lists are all cleaned up, this expiring support window won't open anymore until the next year or the next time you have a support coming to expire. Okay, that will do it for the explanation of expiring supports. If you have any issues, you can use this help drop down to get assistance or report an issue. Get assistance is a new form that we added, and this will actually allow you to set up a date and time that you think will work for you, and it will go right to one of the RMS technicians, and we can set up a time to talk and help you get through this. Yeah, the goal here is trying to make your lives easier. And I think that it's easier than it used to be, but I'm sure there's going to be some bumps along the way. So do let us know, and we will try to get everybody move forward. All right, thank you.